For the latest news from the world of radio every Sunday morning at 10:30 on the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal and online at ckut.ca.
Welcome, everyone, to the International Radio Report for Sunday, September the 14th, 2025. My name's Sheldon. I am here with Jill, and we thank you for tuning in to the International Radio Report on CKUT. We have 30 minutes of news and information for you, as usual. Some stories, including an interesting one about a mysterious Russian radio station, which we'll get to later on in the show. And whatever else we can squeeze in, we'll have some DXPEDITION tips for you on amateur radio coming up later as well. First off, though, the big spoof of the week. And I was actually listening to it. The headline is, "No, Howard Stern is not leaving SiriusXM." The original headline was, "Howard Stern returns to SiriusXM after weeks of speculation over the show's future." Starting with a bit featuring Andy Cohen that got publications, including the Associated Press, to believe he was gone for good, Howard Stern is staying with SiriusXM. Stern began his show on Tuesday morning of this past week with a segment where Cohen stated, "I know you're expecting a big announcement from Howard, and this is not how things were meant to go. This was supposed to be a cleaner handoff," Cohen continued. "I can't overstate what Howard has meant to this company and what he did for SiriusXM. He walked so that we could run. I can't possibly fill his void." That would lead into Stern discussing the rumors surrounding he and his show over the summer. Stern said he decided to play into all the false rumors, which had first started with reports that co-host Robin Quivers had died, followed by him being fired from SiriusXM for being too woke. He said that one of the positive things about the rumors were that many other companies reached out with offers to pick up the show, but that he is very happy at SiriusXM. The Associated Press unfortunately fell for the bit with Cohen, publishing a story and breaking news alerts that Stern was gone. And yeah, I was listening on Tuesday morning. I knew something was happening, and they did start off with what turned out to be a spoof of Andy Cohen, who does work on another channel for SiriusXM, indicating that the channel was now going to be called Andy 100 instead of Howard 100. It's kind of funny because Stern is under contract until December of this year. So apparently he said later on that contract negotiations are ongoing. So, I mean, there still is a chance that he could not sign. How quickly the media is to jump on stories without doing any fact-checking whatsoever. And some of the really reputable news sources ran this story without any contradiction to it or any updates. That 10 minutes, they didn't bother to check anything further. He did play clips of other news sources talking about what was going on. There was one in particular, I forget which news service it was, but they actually admitted that we have no idea what's going on, to which he responded, "Why are they on the radio doing news when they have no idea what's going on out there?" So it was really an exercise, as he put it, in examining today's media. And how quick they are to jump on things when they haven't really checked them out first.
It's so funny because I was actually, working my YouTube video stuff. So I have all of these news outlets popping up everywhere. And I have this page which has an aggregation of tons of different news. And suddenly half of the page was filled with, "Oh, Howard Stern is gone. He's not renewing. It's over." And it's like, wow, they all jumped on it. And you would figure out that some of them probably would have figured out that maybe this could be some kind of stunt of some way.
Well, you can see how these stories propagate. You sent me a link saying, an email, "I guess you've seen this story." because obviously at that time you didn't know that these stories that they were reporting were not true.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really an interesting exercise to follow it through, and he did have his crew monitoring all these different sources of how they were reporting it, and it was really quite revealing that that some of these services took so long. He hasn't gone anywhere. He was back on the air on Tuesday after the spoof, and as he said, negotiations are still underway. We'll see what happens when December rolls around, whether he ends up staying or not.
So we have a Florida radio station that rebrands itself Trump Country, complete with images of the President of the United States in a cowboy hat. This is, by the way, by Joe DePaolo, Mediate.com, via Tony Pavick in Hope, British Columbia. A Florida radio station has rebranded itself Trump Country as an homage of sorts to President Donald Trump, and is leaning all the way into MAGA. Complete with contests promising to trigger tofu eaters, the station, 93.7 WEHL in Fort Myers, Florida, executed the rebrand on the day of Trump's second inauguration. The station's slogan, as you might expect for a Trump-themed outfit, is "Make Country Great Again." It has a voice actor mimic Trump for station imaging and touts promotions such as the Cancel Bowl, which encourages listeners to leave a voicemail trashing the most pathetic woke thing they have seen. They canceled team names, the anthem, even halftime shows. Now it's fourth and woke, and we're calling the plays. It added, "Leave us a voicemail with the most pathetic woke thing you've seen in football or in life." Every week, one caller wins the Trump Country Tailgate Command Kit, flamethrower grill starter, a rack of ribs, camo cutting board, and flag toothpicks. And one true patriot takes home the Freedom 5000. That's $5,000 in cash to spend on guns, grills, steaks, ammo, flags, or anything guaranteed to trigger your liberal cousin. We'll play the calls that trigger tofu eaters everywhere, because this isn't just football season, it's a season to cancel. CBS News spoke with the station's general manager, Jim Schwartzel, who claimed WEHL has tripled its ratings in the advertiser-coveted adults 25 to 54 demographic since the rebrand to Trump Country. "We didn't ask for permission," Schwartzel told CBS, "but I don't think that the president or anybody else would really be upset by it. We looked at it as comedy." Schwartzel has just launched a bid for Congress in Florida's 19th congressional district, a seat currently held by Representative Byron Donalds, who is running for governor. Lee County, which comprises much of the district, voted 64% for Trump in 2024 station, making a Trump Country radio station in the district both a business and political play. So, playing the game up to a certain point. And, well, maybe somebody somewhere will be happy to win his flamethrower to turn on his barbecue grill. And
yeah, pretty funny. Guys were creative, I guess. They took it, took it as far as they could. I don't know if they're going to stay with this or whether they're just doing it like for a time period. They don't really say.
Yeah.
But I guess, they figured they'd jump on the bandwagon, and if it's helping them advertising wise, which they seem to say it is in that demographic. So, and they are in Trump country down in that part of the country. So
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. But if you look at their website, it's pretty funny to see the pictures and all these special contests and all of that sort of thing.
So what's happening with our sun? Well, our sun has quieted down quite a lot during the week. Only a very few sunspots are left. But that doesn't mean that things are not complicated. There is a coronal hole right facing the sun right now that is pretty big, and that means more solar wind, faster solar wind, and that adds the capability of creating unsettled conditions and even maybe some geomagnetic storming. And those are the conditions that are going to be probably prevalent for the next few days as that coronal hole moves away. And so don't be surprised if conditions are good one day, maybe bad the next. That could be because of the solar wind coming from there. Sunspot number is 92, the solar flux 115. And, well, if you want to witness the propagation effects of that coronal hole, you got to turn on the radio and listen.
This is Tony Straka from Lansdale, Pennsylvania. The International Radio Report presents 30 minutes of news, information, and commentary on developments in the world of radio every Sunday morning at 10:30 on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal and online at ckut.ca.
On to our next story, and we do a lot of talk about pirate radio and the enforcement to attempt to stop pirate radio. Well, we have an update. I guess this station, I think we've mentioned in the past, possibly, but the headline is FCC issues a near $1 million fine against a New Jersey radio pirate. This from Elle Kehres in Radio World. The FCC has levied another hefty fine, this time against the pirate radio operator in Irvington, New Jersey, in a forfeiture order released on September the 8th. It was announced that Masner Beauplan must pay $920,000 penalty for operating an unauthorized radio station on 91.7 megahertz. In the order, the Commission affirms that Beauplan illegally operated Radio Leve Canpe from November 2023 to January 2024, a total of 46 days. Radio World first reported on Beauplan's near $1 million fine in September of 2024. At the time, the proposed fine was issued as part of the much larger pirate radio crackdown in Miami and the New York City metro area. Other pirate operators fined in the New York City metro area sweep included DJ AJ305, who has since been arrested on a felony charge, Raul Alcantara of Sabor FM, and Wilner Baptiste of M1 Radio Live. Under the 2020 Pirate Act, the FCC was granted additional authority to enact higher penalties against pirate radio broadcasters. In 2024, the inflation-adjusted maximum penalties for pirate broadcasting increased to $119,555 per day, with a statutory maximum of approximately $2.4 million. The FCC says pirate radio operations pose a danger to the public because, quote, they interfere with licensed stations that inform their listeners of important public safety messages, including emergency alert system transmissions that provide vital information regarding weather and other dangers to the public, unquote. According to the FCC, Beauplan never responded to the Commission's notice of apparent liability. Now, per FCC rules, Beauplan has 30 days in which to pay the forfeiture. If the forfeiture is not paid within that period, the case may be referred to the U.S. Department of Justice for enforcement. So this one is reaching pretty serious level. We've seen so many fines issued. We never hear if some of them have been paid or not. They don't seem to update that information. There's probably a lot of money out there pending right now for different pirates operations, but in this case, we'll see whether they pursue it any further and if it gets referred to the U.S. Department of Justice.
Now, what is interesting here, it's every day there's a fee, $119,555. And of course, it reaches a maximum of $2.4 million. So when you reach the maximum, basically you got nothing left to lose. You just continue broadcasting. It can't go any higher anyways.
That's true, yeah. I somehow doubt that these operators have those kind of funds to pay off those penalties, but what do you do if they can't? Like we've talked about before, why aren't they just going in and confiscating equipment and shutting them down like they used to?
Yeah.
This hope or dream that they're going to collect these fines, I think, is nothing more than that. It's just not going to happen. They can't possibly have this kind of money floating around.
I mean, we did have a story a couple of weeks ago on the show where they did go in and get the equipment, so which means they still are capable of having that happen. So we have a mysterious Russian radio station that makes rare broadcasts. This is by Brendan Cole of Newsweek. So if you're on shortwave, you're a shortwave listener for a while, you probably will know what we're talking about here. So cryptic messages have been broadcast on what has been dubbed Doomsday Radio, a shortwave station in Russia that has been active since the Cold War. The mysterious radio station UVB-76, thought to be linked to Russia's military, has been broadcasting since the 70s on 4625 kHz and is occasionally interrupted by voice transmissions which prompt speculation about their meaning. The white noise came to life again on Monday when cryptic voice messages of numbers and letters were heard, sparking a lively discussion on social media. Active for 5 decades, UVB-76 is widely believed to be a numbers station operated by the Russian military, although this has not been confirmed. Theories abound, ranging from its role as a doomsday station, which can trigger nuclear launches, to an outlet that transmits secret messages. There have been a number of these over the course of the war in Ukraine, and the latest broadcast is likely to prompt speculation about Moscow's intent at the time of high tensions with the West. Known as the buzzer, UVB-76 broadcasts a monotonous buzzing tone, repeating roughly 25 times per minute. On Monday, the usual buzzing was interrupted with messages in Russian, consisting of numbers, names, and code words. In a 64-second clip widely shared on social media, a male voice can be heard saying Nikolai, Xenia, Tatiana, Ivan, whose initials NZHTI form a call sign the station has used before, according to independent Russian outlet Meduza. The voice then says the numbers 38, 965, 78, 58, 88, 37 in the clip, and then the names Olga, Tatiana, Elena, Leonid, whose initials spell OTEL or hotel, are then read out. The speaker then says soft sign 78, 58, 88, 37. The soft sign is a letter of the Russian alphabet with no sound of its own, which softens the preceding consonants. Social media users speculated about the mystery, suggesting that the numbers represented coordinates for unknown listeners far from the motherland. Another suggested the codes were signals for Russia's nuclear submarine fleet, intended to scare President Donald Trump before he makes decisions on sanctions. Back in May, the station broadcast the same code, NZHTI, as well as other numbers, before the phone call between President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. On December 11, 2024, the radio station sent out 24 messages in a day, making it the most verbose broadcast in its history, according to a group on the social media platform VKontakte that monitors the station. That day, 30 words were broadcast, some of which were nonsensical. As of Tuesday afternoon, the group had not reacted to the latest broadcast. The radio station is thought to be operated by the Russian military from one of the country's western regions, although neither its location nor its purpose have been confirmed. It earned the Doomsday Station nickname due to a theory it's part of the Soviet-era dead hand or perimeter system, a nuclear fail-safe mechanism that would trigger launch of nuclear weapons if the broadcast were to stop. The newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta reported that the station's activity increased after the collapse of the Soviet Union from once every few years before 1992 to messages weekly or even daily by the 2000s. It fell silent on June 5, 2010 for 24 hours and has broadcast sounds ranging from fragments of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake to shuffling footsteps and even a woman's scream. In the lead-up to Russia's February 24, 2022 invasion of Ukraine, the station was quite active, with codes sent in the days leading up to the war. David Stupples, professor of electronic and radio engineering at the City University of London, told Popular Mechanics in May 2024 that the Russian government was almost certainly behind it, and as such, it was unlikely to be for peaceful purposes. The journalist Shay Bose on X, Russia's UVB-76 Doomsday Radio makes its second cryptic broadcast today. Code words NZHDI and hotel spelled out for unknown listeners far from the motherland. David Stupples, professor of electronics and radio engineering at City University of London, told Popular Mechanics in May 2024 it almost certainly the Russian government that is using it. If it is the Russian government, it wouldn't be for peaceful purposes. The spike in broadcasts since the start of the war in Ukraine is likely to continue to fuel speculation about the purpose of the radio station, which remains unconfirmed. And there's a lot happening with that signal, especially since the war in Ukraine. There's also, if you have a chance to tune it, you can tune it in many ways. There's actually a 24-hour YouTube channel that has a live feed of the buzzer. There's, if you are a radio listener, you can use Kiwi SDRs, receivers online, get close to Russia, and most of them will get that station on 4625. I hear it in Montreal from time to time, very weekly. I heard it about 2-3 weeks ago, one night on a portable radio. And not only does it give the buzzing, it also sometimes, as you see, have break into messages. But also, as of late, since the war in Ukraine, it's been jammed a lot. So some people go there and broadcast all sorts of things over the frequency. And for those that think when the buzzer stops, it's the end of the world, it stopped so many times that we probably would have been dead by now. So not to worry. We have a clip of what it sounds like, and we're going to play that clip for you. So you know what we're talking about.
Николай, Женя, Татьяна, Иван. Николай, Женя, Татьяна, Иван. 82 361. Татьяна, Иван, Михаил, Ульяна, Семен. 11 62 56 85.
This isn't the only station like this. There are other number stations in different languages that broadcast from different parts of the world. The spy number stations was the sort of the tag name that was put on these stations over decades and decades. I'm sure any of you that listen to shortwave regularly and have done so for a long period of time have come across these broadcasts. There's lots of theories, lots of ideas as to what they are and who's generating them. Really hard to say. It's one of those mysteries that we may never really understand what they're all about, but someone does. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be doing them. I remember first starting to listen to shortwave and hearing some of these number stations for the first time and sitting with a pencil and paper and copying all these numbers down, figuring, oh wow, I'm going to try and figure out what all this means. And of course, you're not going to figure them out. But yeah, I'm sure anybody that's been listening for a long time has run across some of these. But give it a try. 4625 is the frequency for this particular station that they're talking about in this article. UVB 76 is the call sign officially. So there you have it. Mysteries are always fun.
Yeah, if you're in North America, it's a very tough catch. It's a good DX catch. If you're in Europe, it's much easier. It's pretty much audible across all of the European continent. So check it out. So we have some amateur radio DXPEDITIONS and special events.
We have one off the coast of Canada, actually, St. Pierre and Miquelon. The Foxtrot 6 Kilo Oscar Papa team will be active as Foxtrot Papa 5 Kilo Echo between September 15th and September 26th. There will be 16 operators and 8 stations that will be active, 116 meters through 6 meters using all the modes, EME on 2 meters and satellite RS-44 and QO-100.
And from Svalbard, Tom, Lima Alpha 6, Victor Delta Alpha will once again operate as Juliet Whiskey 6, Victor Delta Alpha during September the 12th to the 22nd, 2025. Activity on HF, mostly using SSB.
From the island of GUAM Rikk, Whiskey Echo 9 Gulf will be operating as Whiskey Echo 9 Gulf / Kilo Hotel 2 between September the 11th and September the 26th. He'll be operating 160 through 6 meters using CW, SSB, and FT8.
And we have Mali, Jeff, Kilo 1, Mike Bravo, is once again active as Tango Zulu 4, Alpha Mike until December. Operations are from 80 to 6 meters, and he's using CW and single sideband.
From Norfolk Island, Chris, Victor Kilo 3, Quebec Bravo. Luke, Victor Kilo 3, Hotel Juliet, and Alan, Victor Kilo 6, Charlie, Quebec, will be active as VK9 November Tango. That's Victor Kilo 9 November Tango during September 14th through the 27th. They'll be active 40 meters through 6 meters using CW, FT8, some SSB on both stations.
And finally, we have Micronesia. A team of 9 German amateur operators will be active between September 22nd and October 6th as Victor 6 Delta. The location is Chuhuk Island. It is OC011, and the grid is QJ57WL. The plan is to operate with 5 stations 24/7 from 160 to 6 meters using CW, SSB, FT8, and radio teletype RTTY. 60-meter band is not allowed. We have a little bit of news also of a DXPEDITION we talked about a week or two ago, which is in Equatorial Guinea. So they were to operate as 3 Charlie 0 Whiskey from Annobon Island in the South Atlantic, which is a province of Equatorial Guinea. Now, they were waiting for permits, and apparently, I would guess the permits never came. So they went back to the previous island and actually are heading home. So they said that they will try again next year. So don't try to find 3C0W. It won't happen.
Yeah, you might have got lucky getting them for the short period of time they were on the air from Malabo.
Yeah.
But the second part of the DXPEDITION did not happen. So.
And we are out of time.
We thank you for tuning in to us again this week. If you'd like to contact us, our email address is radioreport@yahoo.com. Our show is live streamed and archived at ckut.ca. We invite you to check out our Facebook group, International Radio Report. We can have you join our group there. We're pushing our way towards 1,000 members. And to catch our show anytime you like at your convenience, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@IRR, and we invite you to subscribe to the channel. That will do it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again next Sunday morning with our next edition of the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
på frekvenser i 19-meterbåndet på kortbølgen. Vær klar til å lytte.